get immediate feedback, get that dopamine fix. Hey everyone, Shawnee here. Thank you so much for stopping by and seeing what I am up to this week. So if you weren't here last week, let me recap a little bit. I discussed what I do to get my brain to function correctly when I have to switch gears, or sometimes when I get stressed out, what I do to unstress myself, but then also to kind of get the creative juices flowing, the problem-solving ability back, and that is to create something. Whether it's creating a scarf or artwork, just something to kind of get my mind loose and into whatever I need to get done or to figure out something. So if you want to check that out, the video should pop up over here. Yes, over here. So check that out if you want to. This week, though, I'm going to jump into something entirely different. But before I get into what happened this week, I do want to say thank you to the anonymous giver of coffee. So thank you so much for buying 5 coffees for me. That's pretty awesome. I don't get just one, but I get 5. So I appreciate it. It means so much to know that my videos make an impact like that. So thank you again. So on to this week. As I mentioned last week, I kind of had to reset and begin to start coding again. And that is literally jumping back into what I had built. And it's so funny though, when you look at your code that you actually wrote and you have to like reread it to see, okay, what did I do again? Why did I do that? What was I thinking? Instead of jumping directly into what I had written in Xcode or in Swift, I decided to actually work on some of the assets that I need for it instead. And these assets can be built outside of Xcode. So I decided to focus on that because it was something that I could like take as I needed, because it's very modular, so I didn't really need to like jump immediately into my app and dig in or change anything. And it kind of eased myself into doing it, into developing again. So that's one of the things I did. And then as I started finishing up a lot of the modular pieces, at least enough to like start implementing, I was thinking to myself, I probably should share this prototype because literally I do have the app's prototype. It runs and it functions, like the main function actually does work. And I didn't really want to start diving in and changing a bunch of things and then have to fix, if I break something or if I need to like present it to somebody, which I did, but I'll get to that. I wanted to make sure I was on the right track. So I decided to call up my teacher consultant advisor. I don't know really exactly what to call her at this point. I want to say she's like more like a consultant, because she is in the trenches. She teaches public school, so it's kind of like she used to have the ability to teach in front of a class in a physical building, and now she is doing it mobile. So I kind of wanted to reach out to her to first, of course, show her kind of how far I've gotten on this project, because she is aware that I am building an app. But I kind of wanted to let her see, or basically show her, okay, this is what I've done based off of our conversation. And then also give her a chance to either obviously give me feedback, but any criticisms or anything that I might be missing. So I decided to give her a call. I'm like, hey, can we, just chat for, like an hour or so, and I could show you, well, actually, I didn't say an hour. I said, let me just show you the prototype really fast. It's, it's not going to take very long, but we happened to talk for like an hour about it, so, which was fine. It was great. But the thing is I was able to show her kind of how the prototype looks. I showed her some of the assets and how I will be adding those to the app. I just wanted to show her that I did get the main functionality down and it does work. And she was pretty pleased with it. So that was awesome. She did provide some additional feedback and some features that I need to think about adding. And then one of the most important things, she did provide me some direction as far as the in-app purchases, the content that I need to create for that. And then also, she gave me some advice as far as accessibility. So allowing teachers to actually help students who, have learning, struggles, like children with autism and things like that. So that was really helpful, and it's something I will definitely implement. So another thing I did was I kind of wanted to know how she was dealing with, teaching digitally, doing this distance learning, and how she was coping with that, and how she is approaching her curriculum now that she's not actually in a physical building teaching in front of, her class. So she provided me some really, not feedback, but she kind of, shared a little bit of what she's going through and things like that. And that was really helpful too. And it kind of gave me a little bit more perspective about, what teachers are going through right now with this and how they have to switch gears. Now, the funny thing is I did that streaming thing with her. I don't know what to call it. I kind of, presented my prototype to her, and I realized that I really didn't have a ton to talk about for this video. So I was like, I just need to read a book real fast. So today I was going through the books that I bought recently, and I was just like, okay, I need something really fast that I can read. I've been putting this book off for a while because it's oh gosh, it's the way the title is. It's oh gosh, I'm probably doing everything wrong. And it's because it's so tiny. It was I'm pretty sure this thing is packed full of wonderful tips, and I'm pretty sure I fumbled something in it. And I did, but not really. It was kind of a win-lose win. So the book that I decided to pick up today, and I'm almost done with it. I'm on chapter 7. There's 8 chapters, so I'm literally almost done with this book, is The Bomb Test by Rob Fitzpatrick. Now, this book is pretty awesome. It's super duper thin, but it's packed full of tons of stuff. I mean, I have my tabs, tons of tabs that I need to work through. But the funny thing is when I read this book, the very first chapter, he talks about how to approach your customers and how to develop your customers, or customer development, basically. And one of the 3 points he mentions is to talk about their life instead of your idea. Now, I kind of did that. I presented the idea in a different way. I was thinking about going into an entirely different direction with this application, but then I actually, requested that we actually have a longer talk about what she does as a teacher, what her pet peeves are and things like that. And that opened the floodgates to what this app is now, what it is now. So I did kind of partially, in a roundabout way, did the first tip. And then another thing he says is to ask about the specifics in the past instead of generics or opinions about the future. So I really did dive in and just, probed her brain. Things that, she liked about teaching, what she doesn't like about teaching, and how she, figures things out. What kind of solutions has she come up with? And the third thing that this book mentions is to talk less and listen more. And that's really not a problem for me, in the sense that I rather people talk more than myself. So I do tend to ask very open-ended questions, because the less I have to talk, the better. That has to do a lot with being an introvert. And come to find out, the author is also an introvert. That's one of the things he mentions too, is that this is not a salesy book. It's more of a one-on-one, getting to know your customer, getting to know what, if the product you're developing or the solution that you're developing will actually fit their needs, Or if it's by talking to these customers, you realize, hey, I need to pivot. And it's kind of what happened to me prior to actually reading this book. But that's what happened to me when I first sat down and actually had a chat with her. Was because of her our original chat, it kind of made me pivot entirely on the app that I was thinking about building, that I thought would be a good solution. So yes, I'm super happy with how it ended. I came away with a lot of things that I need to work on. I do feel like I'm on the right track as far as the solution goes. She's pretty excited about it and wants to be in the mix of things. So again, I will be sharing more as I build things. But I do recommend, if you are building something, if you are, selling a service or anything. I mean, this book is mainly for people who develop apps, but literally it's any service at all, any product at all. It's for more than just web development or app development or technology. So definitely check it out if you haven't. Super tiny, super fast read. Even though you can read it fast, it will take a lot of work. All right, so then another thing that I've been kind of working on and kind of touching on a little bit from last week, getting back into the groove of things, getting back to programming again and really developing this application. I obviously need to spend way more time on programming and developing this app. So I need to work on it every day. I decided I just need to do it every day, at least for an hour, to squeeze it in somewhere. I like to do challenges. I don't know why, but it just keeps me motivated. So I decided to go back to something that I've done before when I was first learning how to program in Swift, learning Swift programming language. It's called 100 Days of Code. And since I did it before when I was learning Swift, I was like, you know what, why not do it again? Why not do it again for finishing up this application? Now, again, I do have a prototype. It's up and running, but it needs to be prettier. There's quite a bit of refactoring I have to do, plus I have to add the assets and also in-app purchases. So I still have quite a bit left to do to actually, before I even launch it on TestFlight. So if you don't know what it is, just go into Twitter, type in hashtag 100 Days of Code, and you will see tons of people tweeting with this hashtag. It's either people who are learning a programming language, they're learning some type of technology. There's front-end developers, back-end developers, iOS developers, there's Android developers, there's Flutter developers. There's a laundry list of technologies and programming languages that all these people are basically attaching this hashtag to. And it is actually a really awesome community if you are building something or learning a programming language, because you all commit to coding once a day for at least an hour, and you post. And you get likes, you get retweets, you support each other in whatever you're interested in. And so I decided, you know what, I'm just going to do it again. It's just a way to be encouraged during this process, because you do have, some struggles. You will have some issues with trying to develop, a feature or learning some aspect of a language or technology. And it's really great that even if you do spend an hour on one line of code, if you tweet that you spent an hour on one line of code, you will get likes. And so it's really good to get that encouragement, but then also to give it. Yes, there's good feelings all over. So if you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend you do, especially if you are learning a programming language or you're building an application and you just, want a nice community to hang out with and, get immediate feedback. Get that dopamine fix. All right, so that is all I have for this week. Hopefully you found this video entertaining or informative or whatnot. If you have, give it a thumbs up. If you want to follow me and be notified of when I release new videos, you have to subscribe and hit the bell below. If you think this video would help somebody else or somebody else might find entertaining, please share. Okay. Till next time, friends.